Well, hi everyone. Welcome back to the Talkoffame podcast. I'm your host, Kylie and today, backing up the volume with a guest who's taken the country music scene by storm, Rafe Carlson. He's a fast rising star whose electrifying live shows and raw guitar-driven tracks are winning over fans from the Midwest to Nashville and beyond. With a sound that blends modern country with a hard-hitting southern rock edge. His music is as authentic as his roots. Growing up in the rugged Northwoods of Minnesota, he draws from a heritage of carpenters, loggers, and World War II soldiers, bringing a grit and honesty to his lyrics that's rare in today's scene. At age 26, his multi-instrument powerhouse, whose cousins Steve and David Carlson add their own raw talent to his tracks. His single Big City Lights is lighting up radio stations across Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Iowa, and he's sharing stages with country icons like John Party, Jake Owen, and Chase Elkins. With over 55 million views on social media and collaborations with Grammy Award producers, he's poised to be the next big thing in country music. Welcome to the show, Ray. I'm so excited to have you on and finally be able to do this.
Yeah, it's good to be here. Thanks so much for getting me out.
So, as we know, you are into big country music. You write basically all country music. Like, what initially first sparked your love for country and southern rock music?
Yeah, I grew up, there's kind of two totally separate things in a weird way because I grew up listening to country music on road trips with my family, just singing along in my car seat and in the back of the car. Everything from, the stuff that was popular when I was a kid was Brad Paisley and Rascal Flatts and Keith Urban, Blake Shelton a little bit and Toby Keith. And so I grew up singing along to all that stuff, and I knew every word, all the Rascal Flatts songs and everything. And probably by the time I was 10 or 11 or old enough to stay out a little later at night, I would watch my cousins play. We did a 4th of July, a big party on a lake we have a cabin on up in Island Lake. My family has a cabin up there, and they did a rock and roll show, and that was kind of the spark for me to start getting more interested in rock music. So I took kind of, I guess, a hiatus during my teen years, my angsty teen years. I was listening to a lot of Slipknot and Pantera and Korn and all the heavy metal and hard rock. And what I came back to after that was my roots in country music, which I've been listening to my whole life, but then with a little more grit, a little more edge, something that was kind of distilled in me from watching my cousins play in a rock and roll band, and then artists like Chris Stapleton, and Eric Church, and more recently Stephen Wilson Jr. and Jackson Dean. It kind of inspired me to think within the box of country and within the box of Nashville as a place where my music could kind of fit. Because I always thought I was too rock for country, and then these artists started coming out, and I was like, well, if they can do it, maybe I can give it.
Yeah, absolutely. I was kind of like a total opposite. Like growing up in Pennsylvania, I was raised on pop music. So everything that
Right.
my parents played, it was all like 2000s pop, Miley Cyrus, Ariana Grande, Beyonce, like Taylor Swift, and all those artists. Like I was kind of raised on pop, but then after the pandemic started, my whole personality kind of turned into country, classic rock, like
Oh,
everything
cool.
rock. My whole personality turned into, and that's really what I listen to nowadays is rock and country music. Like Keith Urban, he's my favorite singer of all time. Bon Jovi. Also Chris Stapleton as well, Def Leppard, Tim McGraw, like all those kind of bigger names, both when we were growing up. But then I wasn't really into that country scene growing up. I thought it was kind of boring, even though I'm from a small town, country town in where I am. So I was like, country is really big in my area. But I
Yeah.
thought it was just the most boring thing you can possibly think of, honestly. I thought it was, the stupidest, genre ever. When I was little, I thought pop was, the big thing with all the artists, but now I'm just like, oh God, what was I thinking? Like countries and rock is really just coming back nowadays in 2025, especially with COVID years, everyone had, that time to really listen to new things.
Yeah. I think, the genres have shifted around a lot in the past 5, 10 years too, to the point now where pop, what would have been a pop song back in 2010 or even 2015. Now you can put out a country song that sounds like that. You can call it country and get away with it. I mean, the umbrella for country has kind of just swallowed up a lot of other genres. And you have
Mhm.
everyone from like Whitey Morgan and the 78s, Treaty Oak Revival, more on the rock side. But then you've got, Morgan Wallen, Bailey Zimmerman, these new artists that are coming out that are almost it's almost hip hop music. And then you've got pop, and it's kind of all under this, if there's boots and trucks and sundresses in the song, then it's country. So the umbrella for country is just so wide now to the point where, if you can't find a lane, there's probably a lane somewhere in the country genre or in Nashville, is at least what I've found.
Right? And there's this upcoming artist. Like he's kind of like known, but not like huge. His name is Breland. I don't know if you heard of him or not, but he's like a big country guy, but it's a mix of like hip hop and pop into country music.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
which is weird because there's not a lot of country artists that just stick to country and also expand the pop and country. Because also artists like Bailey Zinnerman and Morgan Wallen, like they're one of the top, country singers in the world of our generation in recent years, but they're still making different genres, not just country music, even though they're big singers in the country world right now.
Yeah, for sure.
So growing up in the Northwoods of Minnesota, like how did your surroundings shape your sound and lyrics? As I know, with living in Nashville now and then growing up in Minnesota, they're two different places, with living in the city and of course a small town.
Oh yeah, I think a lot of times, I think the idea with country music and the whole idea of what it means to be a redneck or a hillbilly or someone that a blue collar person is typically associated with the South. Um, and I always think that's so funny. I was just writing a song with my buddy 10 minutes before I jumped on here, and um, there's references to farming and stables and horses and stuff in the song, and I kept looking at him like, man, I didn't grow up on a farm. I'm from so far north where stuff doesn't grow.
I'm the
So there's
same way.
literally we don't even have cornfields up where I'm from. We have like it's too cold for anything. So that's a different kind of country.
Hmm.
Um, it's a different kind of music. It's a different kind of attitude. It's a different kind of grit and toughness. Um, one thing that I've realized more the more time I spent down here is that people in the South tend to like be more poetic with the way they talk, and they have these funny little play on words that could just be a songwriter thing. People I meet down here, but people I always have like something funny to say, and I'm from a part of the world where and a family where people are very very soft spoken, not soft spoken, but they don't say much. It's half of it's grunts. Is the work done? No, keep working. It's just
Yeah,
very
yeah.
minimal words, mostly work, mostly working with your hands in the negative 25 degrees, and so it's just that has hugely shaped the kind of music I do. Just because all the stuff we do in the country, in the woods, hunting and fishing, all that stuff is the same as what they do out here, just probably like 50 degrees colder. So it's
Mhm.
just a different kind of it's a different kind of grit. I'm not saying it's better or worse or anything. It's a different part of the world. There's a lot of iron workers. There's a lot of it's not as much farmers and cowboys and stuff. It's more iron workers and factory. Like people like loggers and carpenters and these people that have grown up working outside in the cold, and that definitely has a huge impact on my music for sure.
Like that is kind of how Pennsylvania is. Like mostly Pennsylvania runs on like back then steel, coal mining, farming, like depending on what part of PA you're from. Like in the Scranton Wilkes-Barre area, like farms is not a thing right here. It depends on like what part of Pennsylvania you go. Maybe you go to State College, or maybe you go to do like Quakertown, or you go to like middle of the state towards, Pittsburgh in that area, depending on where you go. Like it depends on where you go, but with Pennsylvania, like everyone knows you're from Pennsylvania just by the way you act or the family you come from. I know it's totally different from Minnesota because you're in the South. Like a lot of people can tell where you're from just by your voice, whether you're Southern, how New York accent. Like people always know where you're from, but depending on where you are, every state has a different history or where you grow up, especially.
Yeah. Well, and another thing with Minnesota, the part well, I'm from this part of Minnesota, like up in the northeast corner, which is, 80-90% just wilderness. A lot of it's just untouched wilderness. There's the Boundary Waters canoe area, which is, you can't have a motorboat, you can't build permanent structures. So it's all just totally untouched wilderness. So there's no, I mean, like, there's a logging industry, but there's not as much like farmland. You get down to southern Minnesota, you get more farmland. But yeah,
Like that's how Pennsylvania is too. Like we have like a lot of wildlife in here, especially in like this Grand Wilkes-Barre area. Like it's not like mostly farmland. It's more like wilderness, hikes, mountains, where you can just go to see a waterfall and then go swimming in a lake if you wanted to. But if you go to like the southern half
there.
towards Pittsburgh, it's more farmland, nothing to do. Like it's totally different opposites depending on what part to go. But really, right back in my backyard, or like two blocks over, it's all trees. Literally all trees, wilderness, and everything. But literally, Pennsylvania is like the most beautiful place in terms of like wildlife, waterfalls, hiking. Like it's crazy to see like with Pennsylvania, like you would never think it would be amazing place for wildlife, but it's literally the most beautiful thing you'll ever see if you ever come down to Pennsylvania to visit or even live here.
Yeah, I'd love to. I'd love to check it out.
So you come from a long line of carpenters, loggers, and even World War II soldiers, which I have as well. But do you feel like that history influences your music in any way?
Yeah, completely. I think that, you know, I'm me even just in my family. I mean, my family's very musical, but the notion of doing music as a job, um, where I come from, within my family, but also just where I come from, is such a foreign concept. My lineage, my dad and his brothers and their dad and his brothers and and aunts and my mom's side of the family, everyone's just, comes from very hardworking backgrounds. So a lot of building houses, working with your hands, and that really shaped. I think it instills within you a no nonsense attitude, to where if you're not taking action, if you're not doing the thing that needs to be done, you're wasting time. Um, and I brought that into my music, and I brought that into coming down here. And I know Nashville and the music industry itself and songwriters and everything. It's very laid back. It's a very 25 minutes late, all the time. It's a very laid back approach, because musicians tend to be very laid back people, and I am very much not laid back when it comes to work. So that has definitely helped and hindered myself in some ways. But yeah, it's been interesting, and I think what happens in this town is people get kind of in this hive mind thing where we're all around each other here in Nashville all the time. We're all writing the same songs. We're all writing with the same people. We're all singing the same styles. We're all playing the same four chords. So when you get someone that comes from outside of Nashville, you bring this kind of unique perspective in. And my goal has just been to hang on to that as long as I can in this town, because this town will so quickly kind of nullify whatever personal life experience. And I don't mean it in a bad way. I love Nashville, but it's very quick to assimilate you into the Nashville culture and turn you into a kind of a Nashville drone, which I try to take a little bit of that and a little bit of where I come from and try to balance it both, because I think you go too far one way or another, and you're not going to relate, you're not going to resonate with people.
That's true. Because they're two different places, so either way, you're gonna get dragged into one place or another. Because with Nashville, it's a big, music scene, and there's so many people there, and it's a big city to the point where like city life will kind of would drag into you at some point, no matter where you live.
Yeah, completely.
So, as we're talking about country music, like, do you have any favorite country music artists? I personally have a ton. I'm a big country music person, go to many concerts as I get. But do you have any favorite country music artists that you love?
Yeah, Chris Stapleton is for sure. I mean, I don't even know if I'd be here uh, in Nashville without Chris, because I I didn't know. I mean, I heard Parachute on the radio probably in 2015 whenever it came out as a single. I was listening to Slipknot and Breaking Benjamin and Chevelle and stuff like that back in those days, and it came on the radio because everything else was Florida Georgia Line and
Hmm.
that kind of stuff, and all of a sudden Parachute came on, and I was like, who is this? This is like at that time I was singing. I wasn't really writing my own songs yet, but I was doing a lot of singing and mostly rock music. And I was like, this is what this speaks to me. Like, where was this when I was growing up? Like, this is the kind of music that this is soul. It's basically soul. It's blues. It's country. It's a
Yeah.
little bit of everything. I was like, why has this not been prominent in Nashville and country on country radio in so long? This guy can sing. He's obviously really talented. He's a hell of a songwriter.
Mm.
Um, so that was really, I mean, like his music along with other guys like Eric Church. Um, lately, like I said, I'm really digging Stephen Wilson Jr. and Eric Church. Sorry, I said Eric Church. Jackson Dean. Um, and I grew up in Rascal Flats too, so I've always been drawn to a really really powerful, recognizable vocal,
Mm.
um, and great lyrics. And I think that that kind of style of country music is making a little bit of a resurgence with these newer artists that are writing more from their soul and not to sound like they're in a car commercial. So I appreciate that, and it helps me feel like I'm not alone in this town. Like there's actually maybe a space for someone who writes from the heart and sings from the heart. You can tell when you hear a song if somebody means it or not. So
Yeah, I'm the same
those artists have
way.
had a huge impact.
I'm the same way. Honestly, I'd much rather listen to artists that write from the heart rather than just have everything written for them. Don't get me wrong, there's so many talented writers out there that are amazing, but I do love when artists just write from the heart, write mostly everything. And I do love Chris Stapleton a lot. I was actually jamming out to him early this morning, like when I was going on a run. As weird as it sounds, Tennessee whiskey will always like make me go crazy listening to that song and jamming out every time I hear it. Even though it's one of the
Yeah,
best songs written in our generation, it's literally something about this is really amazing that makes everyone just want to sing it so loud.
mm-hmm. Great
Like,
song.
are you into Lainey Wilson at all? Or like some of the like newer artists like Wilson and Carly Pierce, like some of those people or no?
Yeah, I think Lainey is amazing, and I think she's got the whole package. She's got an incredible voice. She got a lot of great songs. We're doing, I think, at least one festival with her this summer, opening for her probably a couple times this year. So I'm excited to share the stage with her. She's super super talented. I know she's someone that worked really hard to get where
Hmm.
she's at, and I respect that. She wasn't a TikTok overnight artist. She was came here and lived in a trailer, from what I understand, and really really busted her butt to get where she's at. And I think that's super super
I
respectable.
know. Like she really is amazing. She was just nominated for a Grammy a few days ago,
Yeah,
I believe, which was crazy. I don't know if she won or not because I was working when the Grammys was happening, but I'm not sure if she won, but I knew she was nominated for something. I don't know if it was like best album or best song or something, but she
yeah.
definitely
She won
deserved
best
it.
album last year.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh my gosh. Like I
the
didn't
Bell
know that. I
Bottom.
knew she was nominated this year, but I'm not sure what she was nominated for. I have to look it up after this, but she definitely was, I think, nominated for a few things.
Yeah, I think so.
So your latest single, Big City Lights, has been getting airplay across the upper Midwest. Like, what's the story behind that song?
I wrote that song down here in Nashville. I wasn't I was living here at the time. I was here for like a 5 month, 4 or 5 month period before I went back up on tour, and it was my first time spending more than a couple weeks here. I had a place I was renting, and I lived here for like 4.5 months, and hit a certain point where I'm surrounded by concrete and garbage and trash, and not to say that's all of Nashville, but that's just cities. I mean, I'm not a city person. I've never lived in a city, and so it was such a culture shock for me that
Mm.
the song is about singing to a girl or a guy or whatever it is, however you interpret when you listen to the song for you. But the song is about singing to a girl like, hey, if you ever gets too bright under the big city lights, I'm back here in the small town we grew up with, or we grew up in. But I guess that, looking back on it, when I wrote that song, I was kind of writing it to myself, like I really, really miss the woods. I miss the lakes. Lakes is huge. I mean, like we got Old Hickory here, but there's nothing that compares to, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, the Great Lakes area.
Mhm.
So I was missing that a lot, and I wrote a lot of songs that were about getting back out in the woods and getting off the grid, and burning your cell phone. So that was in that era of songwriting for me. I wrote that by myself in like 45 minutes one day, sitting out on the porch outside the house I was living in Creve Hall down here in Nashville, and came together in a cool way. I recorded my buddy's shed in Hendersonville, and we just think we really knocked it out of the park. We toured with it all last summer, and people seem to really like it. And everybody's singing along in the front row when we play it, and so that's usually what I use as a metric to gauge whether or not to put a song out. Is if I've played it enough, and we play a show, and we're looking down, and there's people singing along to a song that's not out yet. That's usually how I pick the songs we put out. So.
Awesome. I love it. So to wrap up this episode, I have some very fun questions for you. Like people, some questions people might not know about, or if you've been asked before. But the first question I have is, when you're not making music, what do you love to do for fun when you're not busy writing music?
So I'm always doing music. That's my personality flaw. But when I'm on the road and I'm in between shows, if I have a day off or a good section of a morning when we pull over in a new town, I always look and see what disc golf courses are around. I really like to disc golf. It's a
Ooh.
fun thing to do when you're on the road. It's a beautiful summer day and you don't want to sit in the car or the van or the bus or whatever you're taking, and get outside, move around a little bit, get out in the sunshine. I'm a big outside person, so disc golf is just a really fun, low effort, low cost, low. It's just super easy to do, and it's super addicting. It's probably like the nerdiest thing about me too is that I'm super into disc golf. I haven't done it in quite a while. Last summer was so busy, we didn't really have time to stop and play much, but it's a lot of fun.
I heard. Like I'm a big outdoors person too, but there's not a lot of like disc golf, or if there's any in Pennsylvania, I have no idea, but there's not a lot around here. I don't know about the Midwest or how it is there, but there's literally probably none like where I am right now.
Oh wow. Yeah, sometimes they're hard to find, but once you start noticing disc golf baskets, then you start seeing them everywhere. It's kind of funny how that works.
I know. It's like it's always at like one the best places, like at events or something. It's always at the most random places you'll be at.
Yeah.
So the next one is, if you could collaborate with any artist, past or present, who would it be and why?
Oh man. I mean, I feel like if I really thought about this, I could probably pull someone from. I'll probably go Stevie Nicks.
Oh,
If I
that's a
really
good
had to think
one.
about it. Yeah, Stevie, like 1976 Stevie Nicks. Um, peak of Fleetwood Mac, Stevie Nicks, just because I'm just gonna stop dragging my heart around her and Tom Petty. I mean, doing a duet with prime Stevie Nicks would probably be, and it's her and it's also Chris Cornell, Chris Stapleton. Um, you know, if I really wanted to dig way back, I could probably come up with a couple from the, long ago days. But yeah, I think probably Stevie Nicks would be my number one.
Not bad, not bad choice. Like for me, if I had to choose someone from the past, I'd probably be Joe Elliott from Def Leppard. I know
Oh,
he's still like touring and stuff now,
we
but
got the Def
Def
Leppard
Leppard.
T-shirt right
Oh
here.
yeah, I literally have like a similar shirt actually.
That's fun.
I literally would like to do something with Joe Elliott. I was a musician. I'm literally seeing him in May at this like
Oh, that'd be fun.
festival in Ocean City, and I'm literally like can't control myself. It's gonna be like a big artist. I'm gonna be there like Nickelback, Bret Michaels, like all those like bigger popular bands when our parents were growing up. But if it was someone today that's like bigger today, um, I literally always say this, but definitely Keith Urban too. If it was like today,
Right.
he's my all-time favorite artist, so I'll always choose Keith Urban. But honestly, there's like so many options to choose from now.
Yeah, he's amazing. Amazing guitar player too.
True. And the last one is, what is one thing about you that fans m might not know?
Dude, trying to think. I've been asked this a few times, and I've tried to say something different every time, so we can keep digging in the vault of mystery information. But I think maybe that I started water skiing when I was 9 years old. And by the time I was 10, I believe, I did a human pyramid water skiing where I was at the top of the pyramid with my cousins. And then I stopped water skiing when I was like 12. And I think I've water skied like 3 times since then. So over the span of 3 or 4 years, I did all of the different water skiing feats that a human can do, except like the really, really crazy stuff and jumps and tricks and stuff like that. But I guess water skiing is something that, I don't know, just came up in my head.
That's crazy. Like, I never knew water skiing was such a big thing. I mean, I don't know much about water skiing in general, but that's very interesting.
Yeah, I actually missed it. I was talking about it just now, got me kind of thinking I should probably bust the skis out again this summer. We'll see what happens.
You definitely should at least once or twice get back to your roots.
Oh
It's
yeah.
always worth a try. So the last question I have for you is like, what's next for you and your music?
Well, we just put out a song last week called "Devil's Till Daylight," and we've been pushing that one, playing it live. I've been playing it down here in Nashville at Writers Rounds. I think we're up to like just over 10,000 streams in 1 week, so that's pretty exciting. I've never been the I don't even have Wi-Fi or a computer, so I'm not like the streaming guru. I've never figured out how these people get billions of streams. I just kind of put music out and promote it the best I can, and I don't know who the right powers that be that you have to pay off to get streams necessarily are. So to see it actually succeed and get, I think it's probably close to 11 or 12,000 streams in the first week was super exciting, and we're gearing up to go out on tour this summer. I'm going to probably be playing that song. We're playing We Fest in Minnesota, doing Hoofbeat Country Fest in Wisconsin. We've got a whole another batch of shows I can't announce yet, but we'll be announcing our full tour hopefully in March, potentially April. And we're going to be hitting the road for 4 or 5 months all through the Midwest, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, Illinois, potentially Michigan. I'm going to be heading toward Florida for a handful of shows next month. I'm going to be doing a country festival in California in April, probably a few more shows out there in California as well. So we're going to be really busy on the road for the next several months. I'm going to be posting dates on rafecarlson.com/tour. And then I'm heading to the studio actually tomorrow to record another song. So we're going to try to keep putting music out at least every few weeks between now and the end of the summer.
Awesome. Congratulations. I can't wait to see all these new music. I'm sure it's going to be amazing. But I really appreciate you coming on and taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us. I know we've been going back and forth with doing this, but I really appreciate you coming on and taking the time to chat with us today.
Yeah, I'm glad we can make it work. Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you everyone for listening. I will make sure I put his music and stuff in the description for you guys to check out and make sure you tune into his new song. Make sure to like, subscribe, and review, and I'll talk to you guys very soon.